Greetings, booktubers! Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be with Michael Romeo, who talks about books. Today, I am doing the first in a series of library tours. And that's my library, not the public library. Going to take it bookcase by bookcase, shelf by shelf. And today we're doing bookcase 1, shelf 1. And a lot of these are books that came into my possession when my brother-in-law passed away, and the books just kind of came to me. He did insinuate many times that I was to take care of them if something ever happened to him. So I've got them, and this is going to be a chunk of them. Some of them are books I already had, a couple, but most of them are his books that I got. The first stack from this shelf is going to be the same author. Basically, I'm trying to find another way to say that, but it's the same author, S.M. Stirling. I'm currently reading my first S.M. Stirling novel called Dies the Fire, which came from this shelf. And I should have had it here, and I didn't pick it up because it's over there in my work bag. And it's a good book. It has its moments. Also has a couple of mediocre moments, but I'm plowing through those and moving on. It is a good premise of it's what is referred to as the change. And in a lot of these books, you'll see they say a novel of the change. And the change is when a storm, electrical type storm anyway, takes place and manages to knock out every electrical and electronic functioning device in the world, as well as disarming the guns. Now, how and why this has happened, I don't know yet. But what it's done is that the change is that we've gone from a highly functioning technological society back to the Middle Ages, with mob mentality and the poorest of the poor, and just it's about, I think, about to really take off. I'm about a quarter of the way through it. And I think we've had all the setup. And I think it's about to really move forward. Now, here's my question. And I don't know if any of you know the answer to this. Please put it in the comments. All these books that are novels of the change, do they need to be read in order? Or are they standalones? I can't tell just by looking at them, looking at the covers. But anyway, I'm reading Dies the Fire, which is definitely the first one that came out. And then we have a novel of the change, The Sunrise Lands. And this says, young Rudy Mackenzie, who is not yet in the book that I'm reading, has grown up knowing that he will one day assume leadership over the Western Oregon survivors of the technological disaster called the Change. But a prophecy made at his birth spoke of an even greater destiny, a destiny that is about to be fulfilled. A mysterious traveler has arrived in the Willamette Valley. He brings news from the east, from Nantucket Island, long rumored to be the source of the change. He has been sent on a mission to bring back with him the sword of the lady from the Sunset Oceans. As son of the high priestess, Rudy is the sword of the lady. Now, guided by the traveler, he sets out on a quest across the changed land that was once America. But between Rudy and his destiny lies the Valley of Paradise, and the cult of a madman determined to stop him. Ooh. And like I said, I have no idea if this is book 2, book 3, book 4. Okay, this would indicate if this is going in order. I don't know, that maybe it's book 5. Anyway, let me know if these need to be read in order if you know, or if I can just go through them in any order. But that's the first one. Then the next one, also a novel of the change, is Against the Tide of Years. And this one, in the years since the event, the Republic of Nantucket has done its best to recreate the better ideas of the modern age. But the evils of its time resurface in the person of William Walker, renegade Coast Guard officer, who is busy building an empire for himself based on conquest by technology. When Walker reaches Greece and recruits several of their greater kinglets to his cause, the people of Nantucket have no choice. If they are to save the primitive world from being plunged into bloodshed on a 20th century scale, they must defeat Walker at his own game of war. Okay. If you're bored with S.M. Sterling already, just zip forward a little bit, because the books are coming after all these S.M. Sterlings. My brother-in-law was a big fan of S.M. Sterling, and that's why I'm reading these, because he was passionate about these books. On the Oceans of Eternity, another novel of the change. 10 years ago, so these must go in order. 10 years ago, the 20th century and the Bronze Age were tossed together by a mysterious event. In the decades since, the Republic of Nantucket has worked hard to create a new future for itself, using the technological know-how retained from modern times to explore and improve conditions for the inhabitants of the past. It sounds like this one over here. Anyway, some of these peoples have become allies, some have turned instead to the renegade Coast Guard officer William Walker, and for 10 years the two sides have tested each other, feinting and parrying to decide who will be the ones to lead this brave new world into the future. Now the final battle lines have been drawn, and only one side can emerge the victor. Definitely these probably have to be read in order, because that sounds like that one follows the one I just was talking about, Against the Tide of Years. And then we have A Meeting at Corvallis, which I can see being probably the second book because of the way the story's going so far, the one I'm reading. Okay, anyway. In the 10th year of the change, let's go in 10-year intervals, the survivors in Western Oregon live in a world without technology. Michael Havel, he is one of the characters in the book I'm reading. Michael Havel's bear killers hold the lands west of Salem in peace and order. To the east, the clan Mackenzie flourishes under the leadership of Juniper Mackenzie, bard and high priestess. She's also in the book I'm reading. Together they have held Norman Arminger, who I haven't met yet, the warlord of Portland, at bay. With his dark fantasies of a neo-feudal empire, Arminger rules much of the Pacific Northwest, spreading fear with his knights, castles, and holy inquisition. Even more dangerous, and perhaps Arminger's most powerful weapon of all, is his ruthless, cunning consort, Lady Sandra. These factions haven't met in battle because Arminger's daughter has fallen into Clan Mackenzie's hands, but Lady Sandra has a plan to retrieve her, even if it means plunging the entire region into open warfare. Yep. And then we got Island in the Sea of Time. A book of the change. A novel of the change. It says so right there. During a perfect spring evening on Nantucket, a violent storm erupts and a dome of crawling colored fire blankets the island. When the howling winds subside and the night skies clear, the stars appear to have shifted. The mainland has become a wilderness of unbroken forest where tools of bronze and stone litter the beaches, and primitive natives scatter in terror. A startling phenomenon has occurred. The island of Nantucket has been swept into the long-ago past, with its inhabitants adrift in the year 1250 BC. There is only one question to be answered. Can they survive? A provocative and endlessly inventive spin on the classic adventure story Island in the Sea of Time takes you on a journey of wonder, discovery, and imagination. I have a song going in my head, but I won't sing it because I can't sing really good. But you know that one about a world of imagination in your head. I think it's a Disney song. I don't know. feel free to sing it for me. The Scourge of God, a novel of the change. We only got a couple more of these guys. Rudy Mackenzie. We're back to Rudy Mackenzie. Son and heir of the High Priestess Juniper Mackenzie and the Beer Lord Mike Havel. Oh, that's something. There's a spoiler right there. Continues his trek across the land that was once the United States of America. His destination, Nantucket, where he hopes to learn the truth behind the change which rendered technology across the globe inoperable. During his travels, Rudy forges ties with new allies in the continuing war against the Prophet. Presiding over his flock, the Prophet teaches his followers that God has punished humanity by destroying technological civilization, and that they must continue to destroy any technology they come across, along with those who dare to use it. But one fanatical officer in the Sword of the Prophet has an even greater mission: to stop Rudy from reaching Nantucket by any means necessary. A novel of the change. The High King of Monteval. Okay, he looks like he's ready for battle. Wonder where the plane came from. I wonder if that's the plane that crashes in the first book. Could be. Rudy Mackenzie, again. Traveled to Nantucket, where he found and took up the Sword of the Lady, and with it, his destiny. His return journey to the area known as Monteval in the Pacific Northwest is a treacherous one, since he and his companions must cross 3,000 miles, making both allies and adversaries along the way. When he reaches his destination, he will face the legions of the Prophet. To achieve victory, Rudy must assemble a coalition of those who were his enemies just months before, then forge them into an army that will rescue his homeland and tear the heart of the Church universal and triumphant once and for all. Tear the heart out of the Church universal and triumphant once and for all. Only then will Rudy be able to come to terms with how the sword has changed him as well as the world, and assume his place as Arctos, High King of Monteval. One more. I don't know if this is the last one. If this is all of the series, I don't know. I need to research that. But this is the last one in the one I have, and it's called The Sword of the Lady, which we've been hearing about on the backs of some of these. Rudy Mackenzie has journeyed long and far across the land that once was the United States of America, seeking the shore where the sun rises, hoping to find the source of the world-altering event that has come to be known as the change. His quest ends in Nantucket, an island overrun with forest inhabited by a mere 200 people who claim to have been transported there from out of time. Only one odd stone house remains standing. Within it, Rudy finds a beautiful made sword seemingly waiting for him. And once he takes it up, nothing for Rudy, or for the world that he knows, will ever be the same. Okay, so those are all the S.M. Sterlings that I am intending to read from my brother-in-law's collection. Again, he was passionate about these books. He loved them. I don't know how many times I saw him reading them. It was a case of he'd get to the end of the series and start right back at the beginning again, which makes me think I probably have them all. But I will research that a little deeper. So, moving on with other books on my first bookcase, first shelf. This is another one from my brother-in-law, The January Dancer by Michael Flynn. Hugo Award finalist and Robert A. Heinlein Award-winning sci-fi writer Michael Flynn now turns to space opera in The January Dancer with stunningly successful results. Full of rich echoes of the space opera classics from Doc Smith and Cordwainer Smith, it tells the fateful story of an ancient pre-human artifact of great power and the people who seek it. Starting with Captain Amos January, who quickly loses it, and then the others who fight, scheme, and kill to get it, we travel around the complex, decadent, brawling, mongrelized interstellar human civilization it may save or destroy, following the searches for it. Collectors want the dancer, pirates take it, rulers crave it, and they'll all kill if necessary to get it. This is as thrilling a yarn as ever in the whole history of sci-fi. This is a story of love, revolution, music, and mystery, and it ends, as all great stories do, with a shock and a beginning. Ooh, that must mean this is another series? Is there more that follows this? I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to find out. Almost sounds like it. This is a classic. I've never read it, but I know it's a classic because of its reputation. And that is Nightfall by Isaac Asimov and Robert Silverberg. And, yeah, this is... When was this published? This was published originally... Oh, this is 1990. I thought it was older than that. I could have sworn it was older than that. The novel is based on the short story Nightfall by Isaac Asimov, which first appeared in Astounding Science Fiction in 1941. So it's the short story that's older, and this is based on the short story. The planet Calgish is on the brink of chaos, but only a handful of people realize it. Calgish knows only the perpetual light of day. For more than 2 millennia, some combination of its 6 suns has lit up the sky. But twilight is now gathering. Soon the suns will set all at once, and the terrifying splendor of nightfall will call forth a madness that signals the end of civilization. Isaac Asimov's short story Nightfall first appeared in 1941. It has since become recognized as a classic, its author a legend. But the short story isn't the whole story. Now Dr. Asimov has teamed with multiple Hugo and Nebula Award winner Robert Silverberg to explore and expand one of the most awe-inspiring concepts in the history of science fiction. In this novel, you will witness nightfall and much more. You will learn what happens at daybreak. Yay! By the way, we got Toby here. He's visiting. He's sleeping again. Toby always sleeps up there. And, of course, there's Tedley, because she's got to be with her daddy. She loves her daddy. Yeah. TARDIS, you don't get on camera often, TARDIS. You want to come over and be here? Come on. Tar. Come on. Yeah. Oh, this is TARDIS the Wonder Dog. Yeah, say hi. Yeah, you don't have to slobber my face. You don't have to slobber my face. Just say hi to all the wonderful people who are spending time with us. See? Okay, yes, all right. I understand. You want to love on me. Yeah, you're a good girl. Can you settle down here? Yeah. Okay, settle down now. No, settle down now. Come on. I should have left you quiet where you were, huh? Okay, so next up, well known by many people of my age anyway. I think the current generation is probably familiar with it because it was made into a second movie. It was made into a movie back when I was a kid in the early 70s, and now it's made into another movie, and that is The Poseidon Adventure by Paul Gallico. And if you're not familiar with The Poseidon Adventure, the movies were... The first movie looks corny now, but at the time, it was cutting-edge special effects back in the early 70s, and it was amazing watching the ship flip over as the tidal wave hit it. Anyway, the inspiration for the 2006, it was also for the 1972 film, Poseidon, Paul Gallico's, that's a tough name to say, Gallico. The Poseidon Adventure is an intense and dramatic story about a gigantic ocean liner and its unimaginable final journey. When a rogue wave capsizes a luxury cruise ship, a small group of survivors find themselves unlikely allies in a battle for their lives. As the unstable vessel rapidly fills with water, they must draw on skills and strengths they didn't know that they possessed, fighting against time for their own survival and for each other. It was a good movie. I hope I enjoyed the book. Another brother-in-law book, Thunder of Time, by, what is that, James F. David? God, his stickers all over everything. 10 years ago, the prehistoric past collided with the present, as modern humanity suddenly found itself sharing the earth with fierce dinosaurs. After desperate measures were taken to halt the disruptions, the crisis appeared to be over. until time begins to unravel once more. Nick Paulson, director of the newly formed Office of Security Science, discovers that time is being manipulated by unknown parties using a mysterious new technology. The very integrity of the space-time continuum appears to be at risk. To preserve both the future and the past, Nick and his allies must uncover the secrets hidden in a lost temple at the center of a dino-infested jungle, and in an enigmatic structure on the surface of the moon. But they are not alone in their quest. A cult of ruthless fanatics is also intent on controlling the time waves, and they will stop at nothing to reshape history to their own design. That sounds like it could be fun. Yeah, it sounds like it could be fun. And then Robert Heinlein. My brother's favorite author of all time is Robert Heinlein. I believe he read everything Robert Heinlein ever wrote. Interestingly enough, I didn't find a lot of Robert Heinlein in his collection as I went through it. But I know he read, I don't know where he was getting them or if he was trading them or whatever, but he really liked Robert Heinlein. And this one is called The Puppet Masters. And this one says, first came the news that a flying saucer had landed in Iowa. Then came the announcement that the whole thing was just a hoax. End of story, case closed. Except that 2 agents of the most secret intelligence agency in the U.S. government were on the scene and disappeared without reporting in. And 4 more agents who were sent in also disappeared. So the head of the agency and his 2 top agents went in and managed to get out with their discovery. An invasion is underway by slug-like aliens who can touch a human and completely control his or her mind. What the humans know, they know. What the slugs want, no matter what, the humans will do. And most of Iowa is already under their control. Sam Cavanaugh was one of the agents who discovered the truth. Unfortunately, that was just before he was taken over by one of the aliens and began working for the invaders with no will of his own. Yeah, could be fun. Sounds like sheer entertainment. And then, taking a break from sci-fi, we've got The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. And this has a reputation of its own, and there's nothing on the back to read to tell you what it's about, but I think most people know it's about the attempt to build a cathedral in, like, a long time ago. See if it says what the year is at the beginning. 1123. 1123. It says here, as a new age dawns in England's 12th century, the building of a mighty Gothic cathedral sets the stage for a story of intrigue and power, revenge and betrayal. It is in this rich tapestry where kings and queens are corrupt that the common man shows eternal promise, and one majestic creation will bond them forever. Pillars of the Earth. I'll get around to it one of these days. I know a lot of people have read it before me. And then we got from Larry Niven and Jerry Purnell, Lucifer's Hammer. I actually started reading this when I was in high school, and it was a little over my head at that time. So I never did get far into it. But I think I'd like to give it another shot and see what actually happened. Story goes, the lucky ones went first. The gigantic comet had slammed into Earth, forging earthquakes 1,000 times too powerful to measure on the Richter scale. Tidal waves thousands of feet high, cities were turned into oceans, oceans turned into steam, and it was the beginning of a new ice age and the end of civilization. But for the terrified men and women chance had saved, it was also the dawn of a new struggle for survival, a struggle more dangerous and challenging than any they had ever known. Kaboom. Oh, and then we got the first 4 Dune books in a box set that has been well read, and it's got cracked spines and everything else there. So The first one, I don't need to go into reading the backs of any of these because everybody knows what Dune is, especially with the recent movies that have been coming out. And then I have Heretics of Dune, which is a continuation of the four there. And then my brother-in-law, when he read a book so many times that it started falling apart, solved it by using duct tape. My solution would be to get another damn book, because I really don't want duct tape on my shelf, so I will probably replace this one with a nicer copy that doesn't have duct tape on it holding it together. There were a few of his books I came along that I just discarded because they were, even with the duct tape on them, they were just pitifully falling apart. But anyway, yes, I will finally get around to reading all of the Dune series. I'll probably stick with just the Frank Herbert ones to begin with. His son took it over after he died and continued the series. I may go on to those. I don't know. We'll find out at the time. And then we've got another Robert Heinlein book. Yay! This one's The Door into Summer, which I have read. It's a fun book. It's got some laugh out loud parts in it. Forced into a one-way trip to the future. First he got mad and then he got even. And since we're talking about he, I don't know why it's a woman on the cover, but anyway. A switch in time. Dan Davis, an electronics engineer, had finally made the invention of a lifetime. A household robot that could do almost anything. Wild success was within reach, and Dan's life was ruined. In a plot to steal his business, his greedy partner and greedier fiancé tricked him into taking the long sleep, suspended animation for 30 years. But when he awoke in a far different world of AD 2000, he made an amazing discovery, and suddenly Dan had the means to travel back in time and get his revenge. It's a fun book, it really is. It's got laugh out loud parts in it, and it's all tongue-in-cheek all the way through. And then we return to Larry Niven and Jerry Purnell, who gave us Lucifer's Hammer a few minutes ago. And this is one called Footfall. And this one says, they first appear as a series of dots on astronomical plates, heading from Saturn directly toward Earth. Since the ringed planet carries no life, scientists deduce the mysterious ship to be a visitor from another star. The world's frantic efforts to signal the aliens go unanswered. The first contact is hostile. The invaders blast a Soviet space station, seize the survivors, and then destroy every dam and installation on Earth with a hail of asteroids. Now the conquerors are descending on the American heartland, demanding servile surrender, or death for all humans. Okay? And finally, another Robert Heinlein, Job, A Comedy of Justice. I remember trying to read this once, and I got about a third of the way through it and gave it up. But I'll try it again. Part of what I read was really good, then it got to a really so-so spot. And if I can get past that so-so spot, it'll pick up again. But something was out to get him. After the firewalking gig in Polynesia, the whole world was suddenly changed around him. Instead of fundamentalist minister Alexander Hergensheimer, he was now supposed to be Alec Graham, an underworld figure in the middle of an affair with his stewardess Marguerite, who was the only good thing in the whole mess. Then there was an impossible iceberg that wrecked the ship in the tropics. Rescued by a Royal Mexican airplane, they were hit by a double earthquake. From then on, as changed world followed changed world, things went from bad to worse. To Alex, all the signs increasingly pointed to Armageddon and the Day of Judgment. And Marguerite was a determined heathen, Somehow he had to bring her to a state of grace, for heaven would be no paradise without her. But time was growing short. Somewhere there had to be a solution to it all, and of course there was. But it was truly a hell of a solution. So it should be good from the way it's described. Oh, I've got the windows open. Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on, baby. Yeah. And it's a beautiful day. Starting to cloud up a little bit. And I got stuff I got to do today, but I said I wanted to do content instead. So instead of doing what I was supposed to do, I did what I wanted to do. Right? Isn't that right? Yeah. Yeah, Yorkies taught me that. Yeah, don't do what you're supposed to do. Do what you want to do. Yeah. So, that's bookcase 1, shelf 1. And as I go through the other shelves, it's going to be quite a variety between my brother-in-law's books, my wife's books. It's just going to be an eclectic array. And you'll never know what's coming up next. Right? Isn't that right? Yeah. There's even some puppy books, isn't there? Yeah. Like James Herriot's dog stories. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for being with me, guys. I've enjoyed sharing these books with you. Oh, what? Something got your attention? That really is a fantastic pose. Yeah. Okay. And we'll see you on the next trip. Next trip around the bookcase. Talk to you soon. Oh, and remember, subscribe, like, comment. Love your comments, guys. And ladies, I just love the comments. Because it's like having a conversation with you. And getting slobbered by a Yorkie. See you later, guys.